I'm going to ask Alicia to marry me. Seriously, dude? I've had almond milk in my fridge longer than you've been, Alicia.
American Auto and Grand Cru.
A town square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is 97.3 ESPN, home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
He is hit. He stumbles. He's down.
WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig, yes, I am back in the Matt Black Kia Studios here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Don't forget about the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank in Seattle City, and we are live on YouTube at 973 ESPN. We got some Eagles news to get to. We'll also update you on the Flyers. The Flyers are playing tonight, but they will be shorthanded again. We'll get all the details from our Flyers insider, Kevin Durso, right here on Game Night, as the Flyers are in Anaheim, who have their own COVID issues. They play Anaheim tonight at 10 p.m. You hear the action right here on 97.3 ESPN. Plus, we will get into the Sixers win last night. And, of course, the NFL playoffs are more and more solidified. We'll get into all that coming up here on 97.3 ESPN. As always, text board is open for you at 609-403-0973 for listening on 97.3 ESPN FM. You're listening on 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Well, you can message the show through the app. It's free, thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. And, of course, you can message the show while you watch on YouTube at 973 ESPN. So, as always, top of the show, I like to get you the latest news and information that happened during the day. The Eagles, first of all, came out with their latest injury report. The latest injury report was only a walkthrough. Remember, the game was on Saturday, so the timing of all this is shifted around a little bit. So, technically, Tuesday is Wednesday and Thursday is Friday. I know it's confusing, but we'll keep you updated here on 97.3 ESPN because the game is on Saturday. Merrill Reese, Mike Quick on the call. 8 p.m. Actually, 8:15 is the kickoff right here on 97.3 ESPN. Couple guys keep an eye on with this injury report I want to bring up. First of all, Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson were both DNPs. Now, it doesn't seem that serious, but Mike Gill mentioned this, I think it was on yesterday's show. It might have been today. My days are blurring together. But, at one point, Landon Dickerson, you could see on the television cop, kind of shaking out his hand like something was bothering him a little bit. Well, now we know what it was. It was a thumb, apparently. But, a thumb shouldn't keep you from anything substantial. And Lane Johnson's listed as rest. So, nothing really to be worried about there. I didn't know this until late last night and this morning. So the reason why Sean Bradley is out is because he was in a minor car accident. Apparently that's the reason why he's listed as injured. He has a stinger, they're calling it. I heard a couple Eagles reporters refer to it as a shoulder issue. So we hope the best for him, a quick and speedy recovery. You never like to hear about somebody getting into a car accident. That's a little bit of a dicey situation right there. Otherwise, everything is predictable. Miles Sanders was never expected to play in this upcoming game. Quez Watkins and Jalen Hurts are listed as limited participants, but when you're limited, that means there's nothing really serious going on. Jack Anderson has an illness. I'll get to that in a little bit as well. Now, I understand that people are concerned because a lot of Eagles were put on the COVID report yesterday. I mentioned this yesterday, and I'll bring it up again today. Because of the current protocols, it is very easy for all those players to return. You can return in a 5-day period. And depending on when the actual positive test was, whether you're asymptomatic or symptomatic, whether you get enough negative tests consecutively to turn it around. For example, Carson Wentz, unvaccinated, was able to play on the game on Sunday. He was cleared Saturday evening to play. So, and even that was a little dicey because Wentz was put on the COVID list Tuesday afternoon. That's not a full 5 days. So the NFL is playing a little bit fast and loose with their own COVID rules. So I think it's fair to say that any of the Eagles who were put on the list yesterday can basically be turned around if they can. All right. The Eagles have activated their Noah Togiai from the COVID list. So is there a possibility we see a lot of backups on Saturday? It's something Mike Gill and Pete Thompson talked about earlier on the Sports Bash. I'm conflicted on this point. And let me tell you folks why. On one hand, I could totally see a scenario where the Eagles don't put their best foot forward against the Cowboys because they want to rest some guys who need rest. You know what I mean? You know, guys who are banged up, have had a rough years, but it's been a long year for a lot of guys. You know, a 17-game season, the first time any of these guys have ever played, an 18-week season, very, very late bye week. So I could totally see them resting some guys. But I do think that there's a scenario where Sirianni does maybe get the guys out there for a few offensive possessions, like almost like a preseason game, to say, hey, get some reps, get your work in. We're not going to be too risky. We're just going to make sure everyone stays sharp. Also, Jason Kelce has a consecutive game streak going. I could totally see them letting him at least get out there for maybe a few drives and then resting him the rest of the game. Although, I mean, who are you putting at center? If Herbert has to play right guard, is that Luke Jariga getting some snaps at center? I mean, he's pretty much the only guy left at this point. So, I mean, do you even put Dickerson at center to see what he has in the middle of a game that the Cowboys want to win? That's the other side of this. The Cowboys want to win this game. You know, the Cowboys still have a chance at the 2 seed. So you got to wonder, you know, how much of the backups do you want to play in the final home game of the year against the Cowboys? Like, do the Eagles factor that in at all? The Cowboys are going to go for it. They're the 4 seed right now. And I was going through the scenarios with Mike Gill earlier on the Sports Bash. I'm thinking this scenario is so ridiculous that the Cowboys, a team that already lost to Tampa in week 1, a Dallas team that really is not even the same team they were in week 1, could jump over Tampa in the scenario that the Rams, the Bucks, and Cowboys are all tied with the same record at the end of the year. Because the Cowboys beat the Eagles and both Tampa and the Rams lose on Sunday, they could all be 12-5. And in that case, Cowboys had the better conference record. Rams play the 49ers. The Bucks play the Panthers. Now, the Bucks losing the Panthers seems very unlikely. But again, here comes to the question of, does Tampa rest anybody? Does Brady let Arians rest him, right? You know, does Brady go to Bruce Arians and say, hey, Bruce, listen, without AB, with Chris Godwin injured, I need as many reps as possible with these young receivers ahead of the postseason. Do they compromise if they only play the first half? I mean, there's so many variables that go into this right now. And that's why I'm not 100% sold on the idea the Eagles rest everybody on Saturday night. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is the 49ers, they mentioned, are playing the Rams. 49ers have to win to get in. The Saints need the Niners to lose that game for them to get in, which then would, if the Saints get in, the Eagles move up to 6, which puts them right in the fire of the Buccaneers. Eagles stay at 7. Rams win the division. They stay at 2. I think it's fair to say the team that you don't want to see the most if you're the Eagles is probably Arizona. And I only say that because I think that Arizona, if they get the 2 seed and win the division, That means they would have won their game on Sunday. They would have finally started finding themselves if they turn around to that really awkward losing streak. I think Cardinals might be a hot team. You don't want to deal with a hot team. Also, I think that the Cardinals defense this year is playing better than what the Eagles saw last year when Jalen Hurts had one of his best statistical games of his career thus far. So those are some of the scenarios going on with the Eagles and the playoffs. You can tell me what you guys think. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. As always, you can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. And we are live on YouTube at 973 ESPN. We'll get into all the latest Flyers news coming up in less than 10 minutes with Flyers Insider Kevin Durso, as the Flyers have more COVID issues. They get guys back. They put guys back on the list. I was worried the game versus the Ducks might be canceled. Well, it hasn't been canceled. That's the good news. We'll get all the details from Durso coming up tonight at about 6:20. Before we get to you guys mentioned, I want to hit on the Sixers real quick, because there was something that happened after the game that just made me smile. And that was Joel Embiid. So when Joel Embiid spoke in the post game, they put up the graphic on TV of all the times that other players that put up the same stat line as him. It was guys like Wilt and Barkley and just legends of the franchise, right? And when they asked him about it after the game, Tom McGinnis, he said, I don't worry about that. And honestly, his response made me smile. I don't think that we appreciate Joel enough. And I feel like people might say, well, Josh, you sound a little ridiculous when you say that. But I really mean that, because I think that Joel has proven to be not just the superstar of the Sixers, but the superstar of the city. With baseball and a lockout, and who knows if we're ever going to see baseball on time this year. I mean, that situation is completely up in the air. So we don't know if ever we're going to see Bryce Harper again. Philadelphia Eagles, they don't really have a superstar. They have a lot of talented players. They have a lot of likable characters, but there's no like bona fide superstar level NFL player on the Eagles roster right now. And the Flyers, if you're crazy enough to tell me that Claude Giroux is a superstar, I question how much hockey you watch. But Joel Embiid to me is the superstar of the city right now. And in a city where I don't know what's going to happen from week to week, considering all the COVID stuff and everything, watching Joel Embiid's a treat. And seeing what that guy does when he goes out there and dominates the way he does, it's incredible. I think Joel is one of the most amazing talents I've ever seen. And for Joel to go out there and just be like, whatever, when his name is put in the same conversation as guys like Wilt and Barkley, that tells you where his mindset is. And honestly, that's where all the fans should want his mindset. Joel's not out there to get stats. He's out there to get wins. And I absolutely love that. And I wish more players were like him. I understand they're not. This is a different world. The NHL, it's a league that gets overlooked a lot. And the NBA is a league full of guys who are stat stuffers, who are looking for triple doubles and getting X number of points and getting, all-star appearances. And the NFL is a team sport, so it's hard to differentiate guys, give them always the credit they deserve. So Joel Embiid being the superstar of the Sixers, to me, is a big deal. All right, Josh Hennig here in the Matt Blatt Kia Studios here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. We'll squeeze in a text where we hit the break here at 609-403-0973. Dan EHT chimes in and says the Eagles should treat the game like a bye week. They are one of the few playoff teams that can do it. This scenario can be very beneficial. I hear you, Dan, but I've heard a lot of stories from guys who have played in the league who said that when they treated that final game like a bye, they came back sluggish. And for an Eagles team that already starts every game slow, do we really want to give them a reason to maybe start a full half slow. I'm conflicted, man. And especially considering if the Cowboys are playing it to win it, do you really want your backups out there to get beat down by a very talented Cowboys team in front of your home fans? Like, what is that message to tell the fans? Hey, guys, thanks for showing up. Thanks for spending your hard-earned money to come to this game. We're going to give you a preseason game at regular season prices. How about that? Yeah, I don't think that go over too well, Danny. I think that's part of the problem that I'm factoring in. To me, it's not just about the Eagles and the opportunity for it to be beneficial. I think they have to factor some other things in as well. All right, Kevin Durso, our Flyers Insider, joins us next. What is going on with the Flyers? I mean, this team, they come back from the break and they look okay. Does Carter Hart coming back really matter tonight? We'll find out from our Flyers Insider at 97.3 ESPN.com. Kevin Durso next here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. And we are live on YouTube at 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig, and this is Game Night.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tonight on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
The Flyers are in Anaheim to take on the Ducks.
Coverage begins at 10 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN, and listen live on the free mobile app.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code BUY for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code BUY for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code BUY.
This tax filing season could be one for the record books. There are thousands of dollars worth of new tax credits on the table, and Jackson Hewitt will help make sure you get every one you deserve. Tax credits for being a parent, taking care of a parent, taking classes, and so much more. Don't leave thousands on the table. Jackson Hewitt will make sure you get credit for all you do and get your biggest refund guaranteed. Learn more and find your nearest location at jacksonhewitt.com.
Pete from Chicky and Pete's, and we love to party. Order now for your next celebration. Chickies and Pete's online catering to-go menu features more than 24 of your Chicky and Pete's favorites. Seafood, burgers, salads, and of course our signature crab fries. Click catering to see our menu, chickyandpete's.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig back here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, we're always brought to you by my friends over the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. Bet all the action style, football, basketball, hockey, and more right off the Atlantic City Boardwalk at Bally's Atlantic City. The FanDuel Sportsbook is the retail sportsbook inside Bally's Atlantic City. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLING. Well, I don't think the Flyers have a gambling problem. I just think the NHL has a confusing message problem because on one hand, they hit the pause button to get all their COVID problems in order, and now it looks like they're just plowing through like the NBA is. So to get more clarity on what's going on with the Fly guys and the NHL, Kevin Durso, our Flyers insider over at 97.3 ESPN.com, joins us right now, and you can see him live on YouTube at 973 ESPN. Kevin, how you doing today?
Doing well, Josh. How are you?
I'm doing well, but I'm glad you could come on because we need some clarity. First of all, and this question is a little tongue-in-cheek, but I'm going to ask you it anyway. So Saturday, the Flyers are playing at the same time the Eagles are. And I asked this question earlier. I don't know if you have a good answer or not, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I feel like you're the only person I can ask this question to. Give me like a legitimate answer. Apparently, one of the reasons why the Flyers can't move the time is because the Wings have a game earlier in the day. Aren't the Wings technically like renters of the Wells Fargo Center? Couldn't the Flyers who own the building tell them to bug off?
So actually the Wings are owned by Comcast Spectacor as well. So the ownership is the same between the Flyers and the Wings. They even share a training facility in Voorhees.
Okay.
So in essence, the building is also owned by Comcast Spectacor, and there you go. Like the building's owned by the same by the same group that owns the two teams, and I guess by that logic there's no moving the times. I don't know. I mean, I get your point because here it is again, same thing. I kind of looked at it a little bit too, like from the NFL standpoint as well. Do they not check the schedule when they
the
do
NFL
this?
Doesn't care, Kevin. The NFL thinks I express above
that.
It all.
And I expressed that to a few people. I'm like, I know that they don't care that there's something else going on across the street. And not to mention the fact that we all kind of feel like we know where that football game is going as well with the Eagles situation too, that it's probably not going to carry a ton of meaning. So, you got a January hockey game that in the grand scheme of things probably doesn't mean a whole lot down the road and a meaningless football game to get you to the playoffs. Talk about a Saturday night down at the sports complex.
I mean, listen, I know you'll be in the building, Kevin, but I just got to wonder. I mean, okay, so the Flyers own the Wings too. I mean, couldn't they just tell the Wings, hey man, we're going to play this game what if the Flyers and the Wings swapped? You know what I mean?
I get your point. I think that it also does come down to, as it was alluded to during the Sports Bash with when Pete Thompson was on, the Sharks were asked about this as well, and it sounds like they don't want to budge their schedule either for any reason. I think what that has to do with is, obviously, if you moved it up and said, let's try to do this Friday night, the Sharks are going to object because they just played Thursday night. Now they're at a disadvantage. It's a back-to-back for them. It is a back-to-back for the Flyers, but no travel involved. It's, if you go to Sunday, the Sharks don't get to travel out immediately after the game on Saturday and fly home. They're going to have to do it on Sunday. What time on Sunday are you talking about? Is it an afternoon game on Sunday? Is it a night game on Sunday? Depending on when it is, they might not get back until late Sunday night. And now they're looking at a day where maybe their day off was supposed to be Monday or was supposed to be Sunday originally. Now it has to be Monday if you're going to take the day off, and they got to play again on Tuesday. So they don't get the day of practice that they probably want. Practice days are really important to hockey coaches. They like to have that bit of time that they can to work on things in a practice. So I'm sure that that's part of the objection reason there. And it just doesn't work out sometimes. I don't understand why it doesn't more often, but this is what it is. And obviously there's already a ton of scheduling logistics going on as it is. There's a lot that needs to be determined in the coming weeks, and maybe not necessarily so much with the Flyers specifically, but certainly the league's dealing with a lot. And this might've been just one more thing they didn't need at the time with all the other postponements going on. So it's going to get overlooked, and the game is still going to be Saturday at 7.
By the way, you mentioned Pete Thompson. Pete Thompson is watching. You can see Pete's comment on the screen. For those who are listening on the radio, Pete Thompson says, now this is a segment I can get behind. So at least Kevin Durso being on Game Night makes Pete Thompson happy.
There you go.
So, Kevin, back to tonight's game.
Mm-hmm.
You and I were talking earlier in the day. I was honestly concerned that the game was going to be played because, the Ducks basically shut down practice yesterday. I mean, shutting down practice is usually like a pretty bad sign of things, right? So, tonight the Flyers have 2 guys coming off the list. They have 2 guys going on the list. So, lay out the details of who actually is playing tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an continually evolving situation at this point. In the Flyers case, they didn't really have a morning skate. It was kind of an optional. There wasn't a whole lot of fanfare around it. They're actually doing their pregame press availability in about an hour. So it's a little bit different for them. It's kind of like as if they didn't have a morning skate at all. But we saw a couple pictures that come from team PR. Carter Hart was out there. He's expected to start tonight. He's one of the guys that came all out of protocol, flew out, is joining the team, and should be in net tonight. And look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that's not a great sign that he's back, but also he got basically 1 day of practice and hasn't started a game since December 16th. So it's a long layoff for him, and he's going to try to be getting a feel for things probably in that first period. So that's something to watch as he settles into the game. Now, he's really, obviously we know he's had a really great year so far, so he should be able to, but it's just something to monitor. And then Scott Lawton's going to rejoin the lineup as well. And obviously it was no secret that Scott Lawton kind of went through the same thing last season, was on the COVID list for a little while, and then kind of never really regained his form after that because of the fact that he was still feeling some after effects from being on the list in the first place. So we'll see how he looks in his first action as well. No secret that the Flyers are already shorthanded because Sean Couturier's been out on both COVID protocol and has an injury, so he's missing from the lineup. And now to top it all off, you're going to throw 2 really key players into the mix. Claude Giroux is on COVID protocol, and Ivan Provorov is on COVID protocol, and that's a big deal for 2 reasons. First, and kind of the same reason for both players, I should say, because Claude Giroux doesn't really miss time, obviously. The only 3 games he's missed in, I think, the last 5 seasons have been all the result of being on the COVID list. And Ivan Provorov has never missed a game in his career, so this is a first. And it's unfortunate that the reason is something that's out of his control, basically. So it takes away 2 key pieces. Ivan Provorov hasn't had the best year. He's kind of had an up and down year, really struggled lately, I think. And this is just still unfortunate timing because he's a top pairing defenseman. And you're already missing Ryan Ellis, and there's no real good update on him either at this point. So you're taking out both guys who were intended to be your top pairing. That's going to push the roles of Travis Sanheim and Rasmus Ristolainen up big time. Cam York's going to come into the lineup. He's going to probably play alongside Justin Braun, and you're still going to have to deal with a third pairing that's just been really struggling and just hasn't looked good at all in Keith Yandel, and Kevin Connaughton's kind of filling the void. It's kind of a back and forth between Connaughton and Nick Seeler. Seeler's also in protocol now, so he's not available. They've lost Jackson Cates to protocol, so he wasn't even able to come in to fill the void of Giroux. So here comes Jerry Mayhew back into the lineup. I'm mentioning a bunch of names that people have probably never heard of before, but this is the lineup. I mean, you're looking at a forward lineup right now that's pretty depleted when you think about Mayhew and Zach McEwen and Patrick Brown and Max Willman. These are guys who nobody knew coming into training camp. And now they're 4 pieces in a 12-man forward lineup that you're kind of dealing with at this point. And it's not like you alluded to it. Anaheim's dealing with issues too. They had the same thing, canceled a practice on Monday, and they've got players who are missing. And it's not like it's minor players here. Their captain is out of the lineup too. Ryan Getzlaf's not available. He's in protocol.
Right.
Trevor Zegras was not able to test out in time. That people thought he was supposed to be eligible to play in this game potentially, but he didn't test out a protocol yet. So he's not available either. And that's a young star who's basically star in the making. He's just incredibly talented. There was a whole bunch, I'm not sure if you saw it, but the video went viral of him making that pass from behind the net.
Yep.
And so he's so creative and so talented. And it's really just, it's a loss for the game whenever he's not able to play, or a guy like that isn't in the lineup to be showcased. So this sets up for me as a game that has the potential to be really, really ugly. I mean, you've got a lot of players missing. There's possibility. I mean, we don't know yet because we're certainly waiting for Anaheim to possibly update anything, but their minor league system has also been really ravaged by COVID cases, and they might only have 10 forwards tonight. They really might. And imagine having that. Then you have a team with 10 forwards playing. You have a team with 12 forwards and 6 defensemen playing a full lineup. But the number of names I mentioned that most people haven't really heard of that are usually part of the minor league system, it kind of makes for kind of preseason vibes, if you will. So this could get really ugly. And certainly, maybe a few hours ago when you're looking at the list that Anaheim has rolled out and Getzlav's out and Zegras is out and all that type of stuff, maybe the Flyers have a shot to winning. It's a team that's been doing pretty well this season because they're missing those guys. And just like that, 2 more key names are out of your lineup, and now you're just as depleted as the opposition is. So this is going to be really just kind of one where whoever can kind of stay in it the longest and avoid giving up too much is probably going to find a way to win. And you just have to hope that the Flyers have kind of the will to do it after a couple of days off.
Flyers Insider Kevin Durso joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Flyers at Ducks tonight. They finish out their road trip before they come home for what is scheduled as the Penguins, the Sharks, and Carolina 3-game homestand. Now, after all you just said, is it possible the Flyers are catching Anaheim at the right time? Because Anaheim, aside from being shorthanded, has also been the losers of 3 straight. So, yeah, the Flyers are shorthanded, and yeah, it might be ugly, but are they getting them at the right point in time to maybe end this road trip on a high note?
Yeah, quite possibly. And, I think that also another thing that comes into it is something I told you last time I was on, which was, any team, you're going to play a lot of different teams down the stretch of the season. Obviously, you're going to play really good ones. We've already mentioned some that are ahead on the schedule. Carolina is the number 1 team in the league, and you're going to face them next week. But you don't know if from now until then something happens with their lineup and they've got somebody who's not able to play for protocol or whatever. It can be a game changer. It can certainly make a team that you think you probably have not a lot of chance to stand with and to keep up with and may not win that game. You might be able to because a certain player is missing that takes a certain dynamic out of the game. So we'll have to see. I mean, I certainly, as I was going through and putting the preview together and John Gibson's in goal for Anaheim tonight, to see that he's on a personal 5-game losing streak and has basically only 1 win since the start of December. And that's, I think, a span of something like 10 starts. That's just pretty substantial to see a guy who hasn't won a whole lot. And sometimes it's really not his fault. He's got some decent numbers this season and has been playing pretty well, but seems like tough luck has crept in and they're not able to win some games. They've been losing a lot of games in overtime and shootouts and things like that too. So you've got that to factor in as well. But certainly when you're not finding a way to win and get the 2 points, it can A, drop you in the standings, and B, it can hurt your confidence. And certainly that's a time when you would like to see these teams as your opposition, to see if there's a way you can go in and maybe just grab some momentum and try to turn it in favor for yourself. Certainly if the Flyers can come off of this road trip with another win after winning in Seattle in a game that I didn't think they really deserved to win, but they found a way to, and losing in San Jose in overtime and then losing to LA, if you can win this game and come out with 5 out of 8 points, then, I think maybe you've built a little bit of confidence moving forward, and you're going to spend a lot of time at home in the next few weeks. And that's certainly a good thing to kind of go into if you're building some confidence and, you don't have to travel a lot, so you can rest up and be ready.
You mentioned about building confidence, Kevin, and I want to ask you, what is the goal for the Flyers at this point? I understand the NHL is in kind of like in survival mode right now overall, trying to plow through, trying to get to a certain point in the season. Obviously, they're going to use some of the Olympic time to make up games and all that, but the Flyers they got 32 points, 13-6. What is the goal for this team at this point? What can the Flyers fan really grab onto over the next month that they should be like, okay, this is what a fair thing to watch for or look for with this team is right now?
I would say that the thing to watch for in the next month is probably to see if they can form some sort of identity here in the next month. Because if your goal is to make the playoffs, which for every team it is, and certainly it's still theirs, if you're going to, it's got to start this month. You've got to take the opportunity here to play, some challenging teams for sure, but the opportunity to play some teams that are kind of right in the same ballpark as you, maybe a point ahead, maybe a couple points ahead. This is your chance to past them, to keep up with them, to gain some ground and take away the opportunity for them to get points. If you don't do it now, then and going into that break where, quite frankly, they don't have a lot of action while other teams will. There's certainly teams out there that are going to play a lot in that Olympic break that was to be and now is going to be used for making up postponed games. They still only have 3 postponed games. So if you're trying to fit 3 games into a 2.5 week span, you're going to have a lot of downtime. That's going to kind of compound the other goal that they have kind of moving forward, which is to try to see if you can survive this stretch of games, build an identity, and get healthy in the process, because you're missing a lot of key guys. And, I don't know if there's any promising sign that Sean Couturier will be back anytime soon, like during the month, I would say. Ryan Ellis, it doesn't sound promising. So you're missing key guys. And can you get through that? Can you get through this current little stretch you got right now with names like Provorov and Giroux in COVID protocol? Because, unless something kind of miraculous happens in the next day or two, there's a decent chance you're playing Pittsburgh on Thursday without those 2, and a decent chance you're playing San Jose on Saturday without those 2. So you're going to have to try to find a way to win games without those 2 players for a little while. And beyond that, you're going to have to try to see if you can't get some of these guys back while you're still relevant in the playoff discussion, while you're still within reach, because certainly there's also the potential that you could lose these games to some of these really tough teams. The Carolinas, Boston has a lot of games in hand, so their points total is kind of not reflective of where they really stand. The Rangers are on the schedule. These are going to be tough games. And if you can kind of make that work a little bit and see if you can't stay in the race through that and get healthy in the process, you might be able to still be in the race as March approaches and April approaches and still make some noise. But if not, then I think you're going to kind of fade out, and it's going to really rattle your confidence, and it's going to change your tune going into the trade deadline.
Flyers Insider Kevin Durso joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Flyers versus Ducks tonight, 10 p.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Kevin, I want to zero in a word you just used there. Identity. What is their identity? What should be their identity? Because Chuck Fletcher made a ton of moves, and you, me, everyone applauded them for the majority, if not all of those moves they made, because they all made sense. But the team right now, they're coming out of this COVID shutdown. They have a new head coach who's the interim. I'm assuming he won't be the head coach here next year. So what should be the team's identity moving forward?
Well, that's still for them to determine, really. I mean, if they want to try to be a playoff team and try to compete with the rest of the league and find a way to make their way into the playoffs, despite everything that's happened, despite the coaching change, despite the 10-game losing streak, then that can create their identity. They can be a team of character that finds a way to rally back and get back in this race. That's easier said than done, obviously, and it kind of leads to what I've been talking about the whole time, really, since the coaching change happened, which is, to me, that I don't know that you're going to find the identity with this current group. And I don't think that that's a reflection of all of the offseason moves that have been made by Chuck Fletcher. I think that realistically, one of the things that I look at when I look at those moves is, first of all, certainly you didn't make the trade for Ryan Ellis and expect him to miss the majority of the season to this point.
Sure.
Your goal was to stabilize that top pairing. The preseason and training camp showed early signs that was looking promising. And now you really just don't have an idea of what you've got. And it's really hard to even put a projection on what that player was supposed to be. Rasmus Ristolainen has been good, all things considered. He's been improving throughout the season, and he's kind of stabilized that pairing with Travis Sanheim. It's actually really been Justin Braun having to jump over the pairing and play top pairing minutes when he's really a third pairing guy. And Ivan Provorov not playing with the same consistency that many know that he can play with, that really hurts you on the back end. Among the forward group, it's not like Cam Atkinson and Derek Brassard are your problems either. Cam Atkinson is actually on pace for 9 more goals than he would have scored in an 82-game season last year, if it was 82. So he's actually on pace to up his scoring totals. He's giving you the same type of production that Jake Voracek is giving in Columbus right now. So it's not like you're losing points per se from either player. And Brassard's actually outperforming what most would have expected, but you are taking a hit from guys who you had expectations for from previous years that aren't delivering. And certainly you can't fault guys who are hurt for part of the time. Kevin Hayes has missed a lot of time. His paces are actually right on track with what he's given in years past. It's just he's missed so much time that you're not going to get the end result, and he's kind of trying still to play through some of the things he's been going through. Sean Couturier leading up to the injury, we kind of hinted, Chuck Fletcher hinted he's been battling through some stuff all year. It's kind of been evident to see, but his production is down way, like, big time from a year ago. And James Van Riemsdyk is another one. His production way down from a year ago. And there's no way to fill that void when you're getting slightly more from the new acquisitions, but you're not getting the same from who was here previously. And there's certainly a lot to be desired. And it's not just those two, obviously. About the only handful of players I can really say are overachieving in that aspect are, Atkinson has been a welcome addition, obviously, from his shoot first mentality, his ability to score goals. And Claude Giroux is still delivering point per game pace right at the same level he was a year ago, actually even better than he was a year ago from an 82 game pace perspective. And yet it's not going to be enough to get them over the hump and to get them in the race the way that people want to see, because that's one guy who's trying to pick up the slack for maybe 3 or 4 at this point. So that's really the hard part, is that if you can get some guys clicking, we've seen it a little bit since the coaching change. James Van Riemsdyk has scored a little more. Oscar Lindblom's been scoring a little more. Those guys are chipping in the way that you expect them to, but it needs to stay consistent, and they need to continue to find ways to produce in the right way. They need to do things that help produce and go to the net and take more shots. And we've heard about it a lot, but they're continuing to still get hemmed in their own zone, not get out of their own way, give up too many shots and therefore too many chances. And it really doesn't solve any of your problems when you might be able to go out and score 3 goals a night, but you're giving up tons of shots and you're probably giving up 4 goals a night that counterbalances it. So that's kind of where everything is right now. And if they can form an identity that is a hard team to play against and stay in the race and start to form some more consistency, then sure, they can be that team of character that's in the race. But I'm not sure that it's going to happen this year with this group when you consider how many players returning haven't delivered production-wise like they were expected.
He's our Flyers insider, Kevin Durso. Follow him on Twitter at Kevin_Durso. Check out all of his Flyers coverage over at 973ESPN.com. Flyers, Ducks tonight, 10 p.m. You would hear right here on 97.3 ESPN FM and on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. Kevin, appreciate you jumping on today. Appreciate you clarifying all that stuff for us, because there's one person I can count on. It's you to answer the questions that I need answered.
Absolutely, Josh. And real quick, if I may, quick breaking news for you here, because there's another schedule update really quick. So they still have 3 games postponed to make up, but there's a new change to it. So there was a game back in November that was postponed against the Islanders. That's now going to be January 18th. They had a game scheduled against the Red Wings originally that night. That game has now been postponed to a later date. So I assume that'll be made up during the break that was aligned for the Olympics at that point. But it's still 3 games to be made up over that stretch. And 2 of them are home games, which makes it even better for the Flyers.
Interesting. Very interesting. That won't be the last time we talk about schedule changes or anything schedule related. That's for sure. I feel like that's
probably not. No,
that's going to be an ever evolving ebb and flow. I mean, the really quick for those who didn't see. So a couple of days ago, the NBA announced all of their makeups, but the news release was wrong. So they had to re-release the news release, be like, we don't have more games postponed. We're announcing the schedule of the postponed games being made up. So we're even at the point where you have to correct the press release to make sure we're clarifying that we're not postponing games. We're making up the games that were postponed.
I like the wording of this release from the NHL because it just says scheduling changes, which
scheduling
changes leaves it, read further to get all the details.
I mean, was there a part of you hoping it was the Flyers moving to 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. on Saturday?
There's been a part of me hoping for that for about, since the game got flexed from Sunday to Saturday across the street. So,
I mean, in theory, you still have 4 days for them to maybe just make that change, right?
I'm not anticipating anything. I mean, it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. If it was going to happen, I feel like the request was already made way in advance, as soon as they knew something. But, we'll see. Stranger things. And certainly there's no guarantees even 4 days out with the way that players are hitting the COVID list, too.
All right, Kevin, take care of yourself. Drink some extra caffeine for the game tonight, all right?
Absolutely. I'll sneak in my pregame nap there in a little while.
Nice. All right, Kevin, take care.
Thanks, Josh. You too.
At Kevin_Durso on Twitter for all your Flyers coverage. We'll wrap up the show on the other side. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. It's the final week of the 2021 regular season with the Eagles hosting the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, it's Eagles-Dallas is what it is. This is a big game. There's nothing normal about playing against the Dallas Cowboys.
Pre-game coverage begins this Saturday night at 7 p.m. Maryland Mike call all the action starting at 8 p.m. This is where the Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
Warby Parker was created to change that. They design and produce their own eyewear and then sell it directly to you for a fraction of the price. Warby Parker's high-quality glasses start at just $95, including your prescription. Try 5 pairs of frames for free. Go to warbyparker.com to pick your 5 frames to try on at home for free. That's warbyparker.com.
If you are tired of searching the grocery store for meat you can trust, you need ButcherBox. They're a subscription service that delivers humanely sourced meat and sustainably sourced seafood right to your door. ButcherBox sources their products from partners with the highest standards for quality, which means you can stop combing the grocery aisles and start getting 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, humanely raised pork, and even wild-caught seafood delivered to your doorstep. With ButcherBox, you can select a box that has everything you want all in one place. For a limited time, ButcherBox is offering new members a great deal for the new year. Sign up at butcherbox.com/radio or call us at 1-800-BUTCHER. This deal includes ground beef, chicken thighs, and pork butt. That's more than 7 pounds of meat added to your first box for free. Get the New Year's bundle before it's gone by going to 1-800-BUTCHER to sign up.
It's that time again. Time for fresh starts and resolutions. And Harry's can help. Harry's is an award-winning razor brand that makes a full range of grooming essentials. But the benefits go way beyond a great shave at a fair price. Maybe you resolve to take control of your finances. With cartridge refills as low as $2 each, your budget won't even flinch when you switch to Harry's and save all year. And with checkout code TOWNSQUARE at harrys.com, you can get a trial set for just $3. If your resolution is to always look and feel your best, that's Harry's specialty. Their high-quality razors combine an ergonomic design with 5 super sharp blades, shipped directly to you with a 100% money-back guarantee. New customers can get a Harry's starter set for just $3 at harrys.com with code TOWNSQUARE at checkout. Get a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel with aloe, and travel cover, all for just $3. That's code TOWNSQUARE at checkout at harrys.com.
Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
I don't think we carry that, but check nonfiction.
It really does devour literature.
Please.
Only pay for what you need.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7, with supplies and solutions for every industry, and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Years of service. Like there's just so many different reports that I use at different points in times. I'm like totally set free to focus on the people, to focus on development, to focus on team dynamics.
It's freeing me up to do more of the stuff that actually matters in HR, which is interacting with people, learning from them, and then building stuff for them.
Everything is in this one place. I can't even imagine what it would be like without Bamboo HR.
We're Bamboo HR, and we'd love to set you free to do great work. Come try our award-winning all-in-one HR software for free with no strings attached. Visit bamboohr.com/hats for this free trial offer. That's bamboohr.com/hats.
DraftKings Sportsbook has an unbelievable offer to get all fans in on the action as the college and pro football seasons wind down. New customers can bet just $5 on any football team to win their game. And if they do, you win $200 in free bets. So let's wind down the season with a big win. DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also bet on football with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. And for our New York listeners, we have an exciting announcement. DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to you soon. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code 973. Bet just $5 on any football team, college or pro, and win $200 in free bets if they're victorious. That's code 973 this week at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig finishing up the show here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Thanks, Kevin Durso, for joining us. Flyers back in action tonight at 10 p.m. Sixers back in action tomorrow at 7 p.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Before I get out of here, I can't ignore what Jalen Hurts did. For those who didn't see it, he wrote a letter to whom it may concern about his concerns about the incident that happened after the game in Washington. If you go to 97.3 ESPN.com, you saw the video of Hurts exiting the stadium and the railing collapsing. And Hurts' first instinct was to help the people who fell, make sure they're okay. And then he was very gracious to take some selfies and say hi to people and all that good stuff before he went to the locker room. And Hurts' whole point is, look, I want to know if this is being taken care of. I want to make sure these people are okay. Is everything being handled properly? And for Hurts to do that just shows a level of self-awareness and maturity that I don't think people appreciate. You know, for every person who says that Jalen Hurts is, I don't think he's a franchise quarterback, he doesn't have the arm strength, all this stuff, you know, if we know what he is, he's a good human being. And in a world where Antonio Brown gets multiple chances, whether people like him or not, in a world where guys like Greg Hardy got a second and third chance, in a world where people who just not good people get opportunities to do things, I am not going to condemn or play down the good human that is Jalen Hurts. I think we need to give more recognition to good people and less recognition to the scum people. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. I'll catch you tomorrow.
Update with Robin Stola. Learn more, live better.
Have you ever tried to set a goal or accomplish something only to have that goal or plan fail or just not work out? If so, you may be interested in trying SMART goal setting. SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time sensitive. Let's use weight loss as an example. Make it specific, as in I want to lose 10 pounds instead of I want to lose weight. Measurable, of course we can keep track of our weight. Achievable, break it down into steps. If you want to lose 50 pounds, start with the first 10. Relevant, know why you want to do it. And finally, time sensitive. You want to lose 10 pounds over 12 weeks, for example. Write it all down and keep it where you can see it. Goal setting is an important part of actually accomplishing anything you set your mind to. So when you set a goal, make sure it's a SMART goal. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stola, empowering you to live a healthier life.